Hello, welcome to Excel Highway, your one-stop shop for all your Excel needs. This is part 2 of my HR KPI mega file. In the first part, I walked over how to build this part, these metrics, these charts and everything. If you want to take a look at that before jumping into part 2, click on the link here on top. And if you already saw that, then I want to introduce you to the second part, which is this group of KPIs, the diversity KPIs. So on the same information we used previously, I want to understand my workers. Which country are they from? What age range are they? And what is their employment type? So back to the worker data table over here. So we have the three data inputs: the date of birth of the employee, the country, and the employment type. And so these are just examples. If you want to analyze something else, like their education or their proximity to work or whatever metric you want to use, you can just add those over here, and with the method that I'm going to show you, just build it on your own. So these are actually pivot table charts, right? Previously we had just tables and some nice pictures that are connected to the cells. And here I used a different method, which was actually to build 3 different pivot tables. And the problem with pivot tables, let's say, is that it doesn't update automatically when you make changes. So to overcome this, since I wanted to have one location where you filter and everything updates, I added a small VBA code to run whenever you make changes with either the date or the department selection. That's why you have this message over here. So let's go over, first of all, how to build the information that's going to be shown, and then the VBA code, and lastly the charts themselves. So we have the date of birth. We want to understand the age. So the age is simply using this formula: round down today, which returns today, minus the date of birth in the table, divide that by 365, you get the number of years, and round down with a 0 at the end gives you a rounded number down without any decimals. If I added here a 1, for example, is going to be 0.7, etc. That gives me the age. Now I want to show the age group, because I have a lot of ages, and when I want to use a chart or something, I don't want to have too many values. So what I did here in the list section, I set up an age range, sorted ascending, and then just the group, which is basically the combination of 2. So if I change that, the name of the ranges changes, and the last one has a plus on the end. So essentially, I want to group all the dates, all the ages into groups. And I'm using it with VLOOKUP, where the only difference from the normal usage of the VLOOKUP is the last argument, where I use 1 instead of 0, which basically looks for the value, the closest value sorted. So that's why that's why 30 is between 25 and 45, and it's a good usage of the VLOOKUP just to find a close value. So that's the age group that I have. And what I also want to show you is how I used the filter for pivots, just so I could filter based on whatever department I select. So here I have the department filter, which I showed you in the last time, which equals whatever I have over here, unless you select all, and then it just equals all. And then just for the pivots, what I'm doing is, if I'm giving it a yes or a no based on if it equals whatever I selected here. So if I selected HR, this will go show no for software. But if I selected software, it's going to show yes. And if I select all, it's also going to show yes. And what this is helping me, I'm going to use that as a built-in filter for my pivot tables. So now for the pivot tables themselves, I put them here in the diversity database sheet. I have 3 simple pivot tables and 1 for each chart. So this is merely a pivot table where you have a row, which is the country or the age group or the employment type, and the count. I just put gender, doesn't matter, just need something to represent the number of people. And I sort it from largest to smallest just so it looks better on a pie chart where you have the big chunks in the beginning. I added 2 slicers that I connected to all 3. Work during last month, and as yes, and filter for pivots, what I showed you before. So worked during last month selected, that's also something I use. I just want to see if that person is still working whenever I'm analyzing this. So that means that the start date was before what I selected, and the end date is after or still working. So this person, for example, ended was his last day on June, and I selected July, so I don't want to see him anymore in this analysis because I only want to see the current diversity analysis. And here on the top I have the headers for the charts themselves. I really recommend that you use that because it's very easy to build a chart this way. So once I built those 3 pivot tables, I just insert a chart. I usually like to take out all the buttons, and I add the data label. I like to format it with a value and the percentage, plus take it outside in this manner. And to change the chart title, this is what I use. I use equal, and I reference a cell, and then I just take that and move it over here, which is what I already did. So no need to do it again. So that's how I did it 3 times, same charts, and you get a very nice chart. And now you can see that if I select a different department, all the 3 charts change. You see? It's the same for the date. If I now selected May, the numbers will change. If I bring it back to July, okay, it was 27 before, now it's 28. So the last part that I want to show you in this video is how I added a code to refresh the pivot tables, because one option is for the user to always make sure they click on data refresh all, but that could be very, uncomfortable, or people can forget. So all you need to do is right click on the sheet that you want the code to run, click on view code, and just copy and paste what you see here, which is a very simple code. Private sub worksheet change by val target is range and end sub. So this is the declaration of the code itself, and what it's basically doing, there's a small if here. So if the range is equal to A1 through E2, which is what I have here, just made all this as the range for the changes. If that is if you're not in that range, that's what it means. If there's no intersect, so you are not changing that range, then the if closes and nothing happens. But if you are in that range, I want to refresh all on the active workbook. Basically, this refreshes all the links and all the pivot tables in the workbook. Okay. And that's very easy to do. That's all you need to do. Once you do that, once you change, if you go here, you will see that everything changes. Okay. Bless me. Thank you. So that's part number 2. The diversity KPIs, which of course you can change to fit your business. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, as I'm uploading new content all the time. hit that like button, leave a comment that you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you next time. Take care.